on Monday Night Raw. So I'm going to deviate a bit. I'm not going to talk about the one who will not be named right now because that was a small part. I have my thing to say about her, but I don't want to talk about her right off the gate. I'm tabling that for right now. I do want to talk about. Oh, cool. Thank you, Dick 97. The demented demon known as Finn Bálor. His days are numbered. Did you see the looks that Liv, especially Dom and Raquel, were giving Finn tonight? Did you see the looks that JD was giving Finn tonight? Finn is not long for this world, and he just keeps digging himself a hole bigger and bigger every time he talks. He's going down the path of what Rhea and Damian used to do, and he's going to get booted. First, he's all running down all of Liv's opponents, except for Naomi, curiously enough, if anybody noticed that, and talking about her ops, and then he does this fake hug with Dom and Liv. Even Dom, Liv, and Raquel were kikiing happily in the front, and then here comes Finn with his demented self butting in between Dom and Liv. See, he's doing that divide and conquer thing again, and he's running down Liv's ops, except for Naomi. And then he's getting after Dom for losing. Dude, what? Again, what is it with people always getting after Dom's losses? He's the only one that has to be held accountable. Carlito was the one that took the pin. And then he gets into this is my clubhouse and Judgment Day has no leaders, but runs well when I'm taking control, things like that. I'm paraphrasing. But notice how everybody didn't really agree with him. Dom was just staring daggers at the man. His facial expressions are always on point. And I love that about Dom. He says a lot with his face. So him just staring daggers at Dom, and then you see Liv rolling her eyes. Raquel's had enough of his shit. JD's had enough of his shit. Everybody's had enough of this shit. And when her truth got ran off, and then Carlito was concerned about not having Thanksgiving until Liv comforted him and said that they were. But I think Dom is going to be the leader. It's not going to be Judgment Day where it's under that brand of having no leaders. It's going to be rebranded into something else. And Finn's going to be on the outs. Says check out for their tag team title match with the War Raiders. Notice and peep how JD was looking at Finn. Or now people have been noticing how JD has been looking at Finn and how he's been responding to Finn because he's not just rolling over and take it. People thought he would just be like that follower that would just agree with Finn on everything. He's not. And I really like that he's not just being a blind follower to Finn. He might agree on some things, but for tonight, he was not looking at Finn in a good way at the beginning of their match. He could stare, it's like he was staring right through Finn and seeing his shit. He's probably seeing how Finn is compared to Damian, how Damian treated JD. See, that's the thing. JD wasn't treated very good, just like Dom was with in the Judgment Day. He wasn't treated very nice, and guess who was having his back when JD was trying to get into Judgment Day, and who accepted him readily into Judgment Day? It was Dom. It's the same way with Carlito. Didn't want to have really much to do with Carlito, and same thing with Rhea, but it was Dom who was accepting and brought Carlito into the fold and gave him a place to be. Notice who's all connected into it's Dom. That's the reason why Liv said the Judgment Day joined her and Daddy Dom. Finn was nowhere in that equation. And notice how it was Dom who saved when JD was about to get pinned. It was Dom saving JD. That's his boy. And JD has put himself on the line for Dom. So they've been reciprocating each other there. JD hasn't been letting Dom hang out to dry, and Dom hasn't let JD out to dry. And this is the bigger point. Notice how Dom has something over Finn now. Again, he beat Damian, and now he can hold it over Finn's head that it was because of him that JD and Finn have the tag titles. And then who said that in the chat? Notice that it was Dom celebrating with JD. Notice how everybody split. Finn was on the other side celebrating by himself. But on the other side, it was unintended there. On the other side, it was Carlito, JD, and Dom. Oh, and thank you, LGO7, for the likes. They were all celebrating. And then as soon as Finn got over to celebrate, Dom snatched that title from Finn so fast. If anybody noticed that, Dom was like, nope, that's JD's. He gave it to JD. So now Dom is solidifying his connections with JD. But it's always been there, but it really solidified here that Dom was willing to help out JD. And notice that too, it was Carlito helping out JD too. And I know a lot of people online, well, the Judgment Day doesn't need the tag titles, and Dom should have cost accidentally on purpose. Because that's what I was thinking in the beginning, was that Dom was going to accidentally on purpose cause JD and Finn to lose. But this way, this kind of gives Dom more ammunition against Finn. Because Finn can be like, we won the titles, and if he wants to throw up not having a title in Dom's face, Dom can equally say that, hey, I beat Damian, something you couldn't do, and I helped you retain those titles. And the truth hurts. So Dom is actually solidifying his power base, and I can see that now. He's always been 5 steps ahead, even with starting all the way back into April. I've always said it's always been Dom and it's always been Liv being the mastermind system. People didn't want to believe it. They always wanted to think that Finn was the mastermind. Oh, he's doing this and he's going to be a champion. No. It's been Dom and it's been Liv. They've been the mastermind. It was them that started off first. Finn didn't come in until later. And then, how I pointed out on the X, notice with Naomi. Naomi helped out Liv in April. And when she helped out Liv in April, that was the same time we saw Dom and Liv exit that locker room. It's all circling back around. Now, this could be a point of maybe Triple H stumbled into this, or it's been planned all this while for his slow ass booking. But it's just real interesting how these pieces are forming back together now. Despite my issues with how Rhea and Damian's been booked now, a lot of these other pieces now are clicking into place better now. Also notice in the clubhouse, have y'all been noticing that skeleton forming ever so slowly over the weeks? This skeleton now has a whole ass rim on it now. I'm wondering if that's the representation of Dom there, and I'm thinking it has his gun belts on there. But every so often, the last couple of weeks since the clubhouse has been back, the skeleton in the background has been reforming itself. I think that's Dom's representation. When that skeleton reforms itself and be complete, that's probably when we're going to see all the shit hit the fan. But like I said, Finn, count your days, buddy. In that swell head, you can join my clubhouse. I'm not the leader, but everything runs better. Nah. You're not long for this world, at least for the Judgment Day world. And going to the one that must not be named, Rhea. So now we got the nice little conversation between Naomi and Bayley. Naomi's wanting to figure out who's going to be the fifth since Jade was been taken out. And notice how Naomi's wording there, whoever took Jade out and stuff like that. Really think Naomi that shit. I'll probably go into that. I've explained that, but I'll probably go into that a little bit later on why I think that is. But just notice her wording and notice how she's peeping, how she looks when Jade is mentioned, and notice how she's looked when she's looking at Bianca. She's really good with her. Naomi's been really good with her facial expressions too, like Dom. So just watch her face. And Io comes in and wants to bring in Cody, and then Bianca's, yeah, I don't know, woman, you have no problem with Io, but you're drawing the line at Cody. So what? Io beating your ass means you respect her now and things, and all that water under the bridge. But the minute Io brings up Cody as a potential fifth, you have a problem with it? Make it make sense. Like, I'm not getting Bianca's reasoning here. See, this is this whole history thing. I'm going to get into that too, especially with what happened with Bloodline and New Day now. Because New Day was that 2 minutes was something else. I'm going to get into that too, but you got her having a problem with Io being, not Io, you have a problem with Io bringing up Cody as a potential fifth, and then you have a problem with Naomi bringing up Bayley. And Naomi made the good point. Hey, Bayley's have issues with Tiffany and Nia and Candice, and she was right. And then here's Bianca. Oh no, I don't think so. Where is your grudge, woman? I get it. I really get it. I really like the history of her not letting what went down between her and Bayley go. I get it. But she needed to keep that same energy that she has for Bayley for Io, Cody, and Dakota Kai. The energy needs to be equal. If Io had made a whole bunch of amends and Bayley wanted to forgive her and Bayley hadn't, I can see that point. But they pretty much been equal. Bayley's the one that's been taking a whole bunch of abuse from Bianca, just being there when Bayley's just trying to be there for Naomi. She's taking a lot of the shit. So at some point, you just gotta let that go. Either let it go or keep the energy for everybody else. And then here comes he who must not be named, Rhea Ripley. No, this is my team, and I don't care about the fifth member as long as I get to leave. Woman, all this bullshit. You strong armed your way onto this team, take it over. It was Team Bianca, now it's Team Rhea. You see this shit? It went from Team Bianca to Team Rhea. Oh, and you just gotta leave Liv for me. And Bianca wasn't having it. I actually really liked that Bianca was like, look, who do you suggest to be the fifth member? And Rhea didn't really have nothing to say. And people online were pointing out that, oh, maybe this is this character development of Rhea realizing she has no friends. I'm really hoping this is finally the start of a redemption arc that should have happened months ago. Because now maybe they'll start with her rebuilding and realizing she has no friends. And that's the point. She has no friends. And now Bianca's sticking her ass because she just stronged on the team. So now I went from Team Bianca to Team Rhea. Why? This was Bianca assembling the Avengers, and then here comes Rhea strong arming just to get to Liv. I guess I should be glad that Dominik wasn't mentioned, but spoiler, I think this is a potential spoiler for Friday SmackDown because that was taped that she does mention Dominik in her promo then. So she's still stuck on Dom too. That was just so aggravating. I can see the potential for character development for Rhea, but until I actually start seeing it put into practice, I'm going to take it with a huge grain of salt because hopefully now we're going to get this development of I don't have any friends because now she's like I don't care. You could at least that could have been a self-reflection point of shoot, I've been this bitch to the and terrorized the whole Raw locker room for 2 years. I don't have anybody I can ask. It could have been really nice to have one small promo after that little where she says I don't care, but maybe a really small promo by herself contemplating who she would ask to be the fifth member. You know what I mean? She's kind of thinking about it, maybe going through her phone, thinking about it. I ask her, and you're like, and she realizes that she has no friends. That would have been nice. Hopefully, maybe this is something we'll see. Hopefully, I'm gonna look positive here. I believe it when I see it, and I'm taking this with a huge grain of salt. But hopefully, we're going to start finally getting some character development from Rhea. Hopefully, because if we do, it makes her character better, and we won't be sitting here bashing our heads against the wall when she does some stupid shit and they ignore history, of course. And then I'm skipping around here. Then the main event of Nia Bianca for the advantage match. I knew the faces were going to win. I'm really thinking I'm going to probably put down a gauntlet here. I'm going to be 75% to 80% sure that Team Liv is winning. Now, because I'm always allowing for the 20% of bullshit that Triple H could pull something out of his ass and just have the faces just win straight out, which would be really annoying. And if that happens, I'm crashing the fuck out on my live. But I'm giving Team Liv 75 to 80% chance of winning. And for this advantage match, I knew that the faces were going to win. I'm not really all that concerned right now. I had to see what happens on SmackDown. That was taped, and I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I wasn't really too concerned. And notice Bayley. See, this is what makes sense. Bayley was always going to make sense to be the War Games team because she always had the history with Nia. She came out and notice the cheating here, but that's Bayley. Bayley is Bayley. She's the role model. She's going to do what she has to do. So she's not really going against herself by tripping up Nia because Nia did take her out and they've been fighting, so it's out of nowhere. So she came out, she tripped up Nia, Bianca hits the 450 splash and wins the advantage. So and now you see the nice little hint of a smile, and I'm like, now can we let big bygones now, Bianca? I might not hear any shit on Friday talking about you still can't trust Bayley and stuff like that, but it's whatever. But now Bayley's going to probably be on the team, and that makes a whole bunch more sense than Rhea. Rhea's still gonna be in the team, but I still would have taken if Jade hadn't been injured, and it looks like that's a legit injury. Now everybody's kind of snake bit because of Rhea. You do a injury angle now, and now everybody's gonna expect for the person to be back in 2 to 3 weeks now because of Rhea. But if Jade hadn't been injured, Bayley would have been a lot more making sense than so. It is what it is. So history. I'm being messy on the X, and I'll probably post this tomorrow about how, and I did, and I was kind of messy on the X because I said Bloodline, and now the New Day dissolving dissolution is making Rhea look filthy in the history department. Bloodline. Mentioning the wise man, that was me down to about CM Punk and Roman. Everything's coming together there. It's history being made, and history is being said there. It does in regard to their history. And then the most filthiest 2 minutes of promo between Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston had to be absolutely gagged, just straight up gagged, because they were letting it all hang out. They brought up everything. Xavier coming up short, Kofi losing his title within like 5 minutes, 5 seconds to Brock Lesnar. Kofi trying to help Xavier, and Xavier never getting over the hump. Xavier just going after Kofi for never getting pushed to be a champion until he pushed him to be a champion. Kofi saying that Woods would never be a champion. At least I've been a champion. They went back and forth so hard. I was gasping. Everything was true. And see, that's that history. We need that history. That 2 minute promo would not had not been good if they would not allow Xavier and Kofi to reference their history. You see how the audience was gasping at every mention that Kofi and Xavier did towards each other? They were going at it. I was like, gosh. And somebody on the X mentioned, imagine if we had that back and forth between Rhea and Dom and Liv. Imagine if we had that. It could have, the storyline and what we have now could have been so much better if we had that same intensity. And that was 2 minutes. That's all that was needed. Imagine if we got that with Dom, Liv, and Rhea. Just Dom reading Rafael. Rhea could be saying some stuff about Dom, which is true, and there's a lot of stuff you can mention about Dom, and then Dom firing back. You could have it go back and forth like that, where nobody's really standing tall at the end, because Xavier and Kofi's ended on a stalemate. But you could have had Rhea, Dom, Liv in that an intense promo like that at a stalemate where nobody won. And then you can still have Rhea do her reflection. And as heels, Dom and Liv, they probably don't have to take that to heart. But Rhea could have taken that to heart as the so-called face. But man, I have to go back and watch that promo again. It was so good. That was needed. And again, that kind of promo just exposes Rhea. You can't have that on Raw. You can't have Bloodline on Raw. You can have New Day on Raw. It just exposes Rhea. Hopefully now she won't get as exposed if they actually do something with her character. But now she's just totally exposed. And now I have to get to the ring general Gunther. What are they doing with this man? How do you bring Gunther out to the ring, have Jackie show what happened last week, which was bullshit, and then set him up to answer a question, and then here comes Damian. And I'm noticing he's getting less pops. Now, he got a pop for the table spot, but everybody pops for the announced table exploding. Everybody's going to pop for that. But notice it just seemed weak with Damian. But they just let Damian proceed to run down Gunther without Gunther having a response. What are they doing with the champion? What's the point of Gunther having a championship if you're going to let Damian just become Superman and run down Gunther and he's nigh invincible? You could have just let the belt be on Damian. Why is it on Gunther if you're going to do that? I've seen some people saying, well, this could shift Gunther from a one-note character. Now, Ilya Dragunov had character. They just needed to tweak Gunther a little bit. He's too stoic for me, and I don't really like him. But by the end of that whole opening segment, I wanted Gunther to beat Damian's ass. And I don't even like Gunther. Seriously. I'm not a fan. But to treat Gunther like that when they don't needed to do that That ain't for me. Like, what's the point? You just treat Gunther, your heavyweight champion, filthy for Damian. For someone, you ruined a face turn by having him and Rhea be ultra dominant. Y'all ruined the face turn. Y'all did. Y'all tried to correct it with Dom, and Dom couldn't save Damian because nobody was feeling Damian beat up on Dom. Y'all messed it up. And now y'all trying to course correct. And it ain't working. Like, I didn't like it. I don't like it. Like I said, y'all know me. I don't like Gunther. I don't think he should have had the belt. But if you're going to keep him, if you're going to give him the belt and have him have the belt, you shouldn't be treating him like that. If he needed to have his character tweak, that should have happened before he got the belt. You don't do that now. If you're going to do it now, you just take the title off him. Don't give it to Damien. Go ahead and give it to CM Punk. Just be done with it. You could have been able to give it to Dom. Let Dom have something to lord over Finn with, and let Finn stew, and then y'all could have Finn and Dom have a nice feud. Y'all could have did that. But all this for Damien's ass, I'm not feeling it. So Survivor Series, I'm not even sure if Finn is going to. I have to do the predictions thing because I was like, I'm not even sure that Finn is going to interrupt on that now because it just seems like they're so far apart, Finn and Damien. And he mentioned, and Finn did mention Damien as a part of Dom's failures. He failed to prevent Damien from becoming a number one contender, so he could do that. But it still feels like that would be way out of left field. But I'm not the one with Gunther being treated like that. That's just unfair to him. And then we saw Braun Breaker and Ludwig, and I knew that was going to get turned into a triple threat match, and they're just fighting all over the place. I'm not really even interested in that. I think actually they need to just go on and take that title off Braun Breaker and just go on and just set up for Dom to get it. Because I don't, I'm really not getting Braun Breaker. That's one of those things where I'm like, you can't trust the process because he's a two-time champ and he's doing zilch with it. He doesn't even really need that belt. If he's just going to be barking all the time, he don't need the belt. He could have been going after Gunther, and that's what I thought they were going to do. Let him go after Gunther for a little bit. That could have actually been a really interesting feud. Just let Braun Breaker go after Gunther. But that's a triple threat match. Not really interested in that. It's just boring to me. I like Sheamus and Ludwig. That's probably just gonna be a break match for me. And even though we had the dissolution of New Day, I actually liked how Alpha K finally got a win with Akira with his sets on. I love Akira. I love him to pieces. He's a really good wrestler. I know he does the comedy act. He's been doing that for a while. But Tozawa was in the cruiserweight division with Buddy and all them, and Mike Kanellis and all that. Akira is really good, and I was really happy he got a win there. I think him and Otis, they deserve something. So I was really happy for them to win. I love Maxine. That's a nice little group. They're a nice silly group. I'm really happy. And then American Made, American Males, they won against the Bray and Dragon Lee. By Chad Gable's twisting Ray's mask halfway around his head. I'm like, what? I'm like, aren't you not securing your mask? It's like the second time that something's happened to your mask, my dude. So I guess that we're getting that little mini feud. Then now we're going back and forth. And I'm not really interested in that. That's the LWO. That's American Made. I keep calling them American Males. So American Males. That's what they're going to be called from now on. So I don't know. At least it's giving LWO and them something to do. But American Made just fell off way hard. As for going back to the War Raiders, I'm guessing they're going to work their way around to maybe getting the title. They might want to keep it with Judgment Day. If they do anything and hunt Finn, you could do something where Dom just takes the title off Finn and then gives it to Carlito and just have the Freebird rule into effect where Carlito and JD had the tag titles. They could do something like that. Oh, we're getting a women's Intercontinental title now. People are going to always complain about having way too many belts, but for the women, I think they need the belt because without the belt, nobody wants to do any kind of storylines with the women. There are all these women at the top women for the main title, then everybody else was in the tag division. At least this kind of separates out the women's rankings a little bit, like their tiers, So you could have the main eventers for the main titles, and then you could have the people that you want to build up for the mid card, and then you could have maybe newer people on the roster for the tag titles. And you can float that around to NXT, the women's tag. So I actually like it. I don't think there's an issue with too many belts. AEW is the one that has too many belts, and that's because they throw in ROH all over the place. But for the WWE, they have the shows. They have Raw. They needed probably something for Raw and SmackDown, something exclusive. See, I think this is why they did it, because they need belts exclusive to SmackDown. That's going to be on USA Network. They need a belt for Raw, which is going to be on Netflix next year, and then they need belts for NXT, which is on the CW. So you need to have brand specific belts, and I'm getting why they do that. So that's not a problem for me. When you start having like singular belts for multiple shows, that's when everything gets bogged down and only the same people start competing with it, and that gets really boring. That's why I don't like when people don't want the brand split anymore, because the brand split allows people to develop on their show. Because when there was no brand split, and if y'all were around when they dissolved it during the People Power, John Laryngitis era, that was a dark time, because it was just the same people on Raw and SmackDown each and every week. You might get lucky to see like new faces all the time. It was just the same top people, and that's why they need the brand split. But circling back around to Naomi, I really do think she did it. You can even put her with like plotting with Jakara and Lash Legend, because they have beef with Jade and Bianca too. And I really think Naomi did it. Naomi did it just because she's been the third wheel. Jade and Bianca go on to do their thing, and they leave Naomi behind, and then they only come back when they need the third person. Then they never had her back as much as she did theirs. So there's a lot of this. So there's some history there. So if they want to tap into that, I think they can do it. They could do. I suppose somebody said that maybe Naomi and Bayley are in on it together, and that's another route they could go. I hadn't really thought about that, but I don't think they want to put Bayley back heel just yet. They could, but I think that's too soon, and I think they need heels a little bit more on SmackDown side. And you have your established faces, especially with Jade being out. I think you need some major people as faces. So if Tiffany becomes the champ, then they're gonna need some heels to SmackDown. It's kind of like how Raw needs more faces because they're so heel heavy. SmackDown needs more heels. And so that's my little spiel on Raw. Let me go all the way back up here. What people are saying. I really appreciate the likes. And let's see. 97 says, I'm actually starting to like Dom. He is showing a lot of confidence now. Something that he needed. Dom has more confidence now. And I think that's really, really good. He's not fighting back. He didn't really say anything to Finn here like he did, but I was expecting him to speak up. But he just kind of let his eyes do the talking there. But he's more confident. That dude is wearing his cholo flannel again. He's going back into that prison Dom era. Finn better watch out. But yeah, I do like Dom's confidence, and I think that's really needed. He couldn't hide behind Rhea and be like that really chicken shit heel anymore. You could still be a heel that runs away a little bit, but he needs to build up the confidence where he's not running as much as he was. Michelle says, hey, Michelle, Dominik's only celebrated with JD and not Finn after the win. I noticed that Dom was quick to grab that belt from Finn to give to JD. So that's really that shows JD that Dom has his back, and then it's showing that Dom is helping out the people that helped him. JD's been a weird one. Y'all, people always wanted to rag on JD and how he wasn't really contributing at first, but JD's been really the one that's been a real one to Dom. JD's the one that's been holding Dom back when it looks like Dom is about to snap on somebody's ass. It's always been JD. And when Dom won the chance to get into that number one contendership match, it was JD holding up Dom's arm as a winner. And it's been JD that's been clocking Finn too. JD's been doing a lot. JD on Raw Talk. This is why, see, now that we're not at 3 hours and they're using Raw Talk a lot more, but this is what's needed to be on the show, because JD's been clocking Finn a lot of what he says. JD's been giving Finn those looks like he did tonight. So JD's been a real one. So it's not So I take the win and Dom helping him out as Dom establishing himself as somebody that JD and Carlito can depend on more so than Finn. And I know people are gonna bitch about it. And the War Raiders win. The War Raiders win, and who are they feuding with after the fact? American males? I'd rather the tag title stay right now with Judgment Day, and then you can start having them fight against some other people, and then instead of it just going to War Raiders, and then there's no feud left or nothing established just yet. Alex says JD finally waking up to Finn's BS. Now JD's been doing that for a while. It's been a while. It's been a few weeks at least. It hasn't really been sudden. He has been clocking Finn a lot. And Alex Omega says word choice matters. See, I think a lot of people always want to ignore what Dom and Liv do and what Dom and Liv say to favor Finn because they really want Finn to be strike out on his own and be this title winner. But I don't think that's going to happen for Finn. I love Finn to death. I love his character, but I don't think Finn is going to be that title holder that people want online that they keep trying to force an narrative for. I think Finn is going to be there to set up the stepdaddy that he is behind the scenes to set up Dom. Finn is doing all this to set up Dom because if you get the feud between Finn and Dom, that's probably going to set Dom for life. He's already set for life, but that just establishes Dom's character and his trajectory more with the feud with Finn. Liz says Rhea team is going to lose at War Games. I really think that is 80% chance because it's always a chance that Triple H will swerve us and be a complete ass about it and all to crash out. But I really think Team Rhea is going to lose, and I think Team Rhea is going to lose because Naomi's going to turn. They're going to do a Dakota Kai thing instead of it being outside the ring. It's going to be inside the War Games. She's going to turn on Rhea, and it's going to all come crumbling down because it's face team. They're going to crumble, and then Rhea is going to be probably looking on the outside, looking in because she's going to be betrayed, and it's going to be one of those things where she's going to be going back to the bottom. And I'm really, really hoping that's the case. Oh, by the way, you notice how Rhea was saying that she just wants to live right in front of EO, the actual number one contender? That's a choice. They were talking about I just want Liv when the actual number one contender is right there. You see that shit? You have no regard to you're all after Liv and for the title, but the actual number one contender is right there, and you saying all that shit. Really? Alex says the commentary team pointed out without Dom, they would have lost the title. See, that's that commentary thing. They don't do things without a reason. Commentary is there to point out stuff, and they just pointed out that Dom would have lost the titles without Dom, and that's just something else for Dom to hold over Vince head. And let's see, it was smarter to have them. Alex says it was smarter for them to keep the titles because of Dom instead of losing them because of Dom. I was hoping it was just if they were going to do it, it was going to be like Dom costing them the title so they could turn on Finn. But if they're not going to turn on Finn right now, they just need to go out and keep the title. And like I said, that just establishes Dom and that establishes his power base. 97 says if Rhea's team win, it will make both women's champs look weak, and I don't think the WWE wants that. You would think, but this is Triple H, so I don't know. He has a hard on for both Bianca and Rhea, so I'm not sure. But I'm leaning more so now from where I'm looking at the trend now that it's going to be a Team Liv win. Team Liv, I think, just really needs it. Or that'll establish Liv, that'll establish Nia. If you want Tiffany to do a cash in on Nia, you could do that and just get some chaos there. But I think that would establish a lot more of Team Liv's team than Team Bianca. And Alex says about the skeleton, Alex says there was an arc reactor on it, like Iron Man. I guess he's charging up. Dom is. Michelle, though, it definitely has something to do with Dominik. I think it has his gun belts on there, and he hasn't worn that in a while. So, just 1 second. 97 says, I believe it was either Naomi or Bayley. I think Naomi and Bayley are the top chances. People are saying that Bianca could have did that, but I was like, why would Bianca do it and take herself out of United States title contention? She wasn't in the tournament. I could see Bianca doing it, but I don't think there's enough seeds of dissent between Bianca and Jade now to warrant Bianca turning on Jade. we've seen a lot more hints of Naomi's frustration and her heel turn for months than anything Bianca did. So yeah, wasn't in the tournament. I could say okay, one that attacked Jade, but I don't think it was Bianca because it really wouldn't make sense. I'm showing some heel tendencies to Rhea, but Rhea is just being an ass, and somebody needs to blow up on her anyway. And anybody that goes up against Rhea just seems like they automatically default to heel, which is really annoying. Like can hog back to Rhea without it looking like a heelish turn. It shouldn't be the case. You'd be able to bow up on somebody if somebody's like you and stuff like that. Like Kate just came in and just threw her weight around. Way onto the team, you make the team yours, all for Liv, and of course people are gonna be annoyed with that. Let's see. Alex says somebody tweeted that it could have been both Bayley and Naomi that took out Jay. And I could believe that too. You don't think they want to turn Bayley, but if it turns out to be Bayley and Naomi, because they're buddy, I wouldn't mind it. As long as I get the Naomi heel turn that she needs, then I wouldn't have a problem with it. Because it makes sense either way, because Jade had been treating Bayley like shit. And then Naomi's been treated like the third wheel, only needed when they need her. Alex says Bayley was face before EO. Yes, that's the thing. Bayley was the one that turned face. Bianca for years, and then she brought in damage control and war. And I really get that, and I get that Bianca shouldn't have to forgive her. But if you're going to have EO there, and she be accepting of EO, then she needs to have that for Bayley too. You know, it'd be like where she don't with her, but she's not being a bitch to her. That was always been my problem with Bianca towards Bayley. Like, look, you don't have to, guys, don't have to run with them, you don't have to fuck with them, but don't be a bitch. Bianca was the one that was being bitchy when Bayley was just trying to warn Naomi about EO. And she was right, for damage control. So it was just like warning, like for EO. And then here comes Bianca, throw her weight around. And was just trying to warn her friend. Get on with Bayley, but don't be a bitch. Alex says, angry She-Hulk Rhea strikes again. Yeah, like, round. You want Liv, but then you got the number one contender right there. Have we forgotten that EO is the number one contender? You're forgetting that. I'm going to be really ticked off because I'm like, you're just throwing the whole contendership out the way, just for Rhea's ass. That's where I really that's a part where EO should have spoken up and be like, hey, I'm the number one contender. You need to go to the back of the round. That's something else that could help develop Rhea too. Could have had Rhea reflect that she has no friends, and you could have had EO get in her face and say, hey, I'm the number one contender. Not even though we're in contention to challenge Liv for her title. It's me. That should have been said. Alex says it should have happened after SummerSlam. Yeah, should have happened after SummerSlam with Rhea. It just feels too little, too late. And I'm thinking it's because they thought they could get away with brushing Rhea's past under the rug, but then Bloodline came along, exposed the hell out of Rhea and Damian, and now they have to kind of really retcon, but they have to go back and kind of mess with Rhea. Let's see. Reagan says Rhea's obsession with Liv is probably going to cost her the War Games match, and I think that is. She's going to be going after Liv. Liv's going to be smart about it, and then probably when Rhea thinks she has Liv, is Naomi's going to turn on her ass. That's what I think is going to happen, and then that's going to cost Rhea, and she's going to have to go back in the line. Reagan says they need to have Team Bianca lose so Rhea can go to the redemption arc. I think that's what it needs to set up Rhea's redemption arc, bar none. You can't keep hiding the past with Rhea. You can't keep doing that. There's no reason for Rhea to not be able to face up to anything of her past. When you got Bloodline running, you got now the New Day running. You can't keep doing that. It's just exposing it because now people are just going to question, like, Bayley has things in her face, but Rhea can't. It's been a whole damn year almost. So Bayley can, with Bianca and having to get Bianca's forgiveness, but nobody can bring up anything regarding Rhea. She's just been really badly exposed, and now they need to use this War Games match to set off that redemption, to be an actual face. And Alex says, exactly, Rhea should have developed the cover by now after SummerSlam. Yeah, what she needed to do was eat her ice cream and have sad movies. See, what happened is they turned her into a bitter ex instead of somebody heartbroken. All just constantly going after Dom, wanting his attention, but she should have been sad that he cheated on her and broke her heart. But now she's got to yeet away with Jay, and that made no sense. Okay, so I feel sorry about Dom cheating on you when you're yeeting away with Jay. Had his dick on layaway, I guess. So he's down with Jay, but Dom going off and getting with Liv is just so horrible. See, that lessened Dom's impact. You're just immediately getting with Jay, lessen the impact of Dom. See, this is what happens when you don't reflect on the past correctly, because that affected Dom's turn. Now Dom did a triple turn, he's like, but it lessened his impact of his betrayal just because he doesn't want to be sad, or you don't want her to be sad over Dom. Dom should be hated. Like, he still gets the heat, but he should be having nuclear heat where he's thrown under the arena to. He should have the nuclear heat because he dared to break Rhea's heart. But we never got that. 97 says, honestly, Rhea can go for the women's IC title as the women's title. He actually mentioned that as a joke on the X, and I can kind of buy that. You throw the IC, but you could just cut her the IC title, let her get a triple crown that she wants, and just fair. She probably doesn't need to have a title, but if you want to put a belt on her, put the IC title on her. Elizabeth says, Reagan, it won't leave them alone, Don, Liv, or Raquel. See, yeah, at some point you gotta let it go. 1 second. All right. Let's see. Who else? 97 says Rhea goes after Liv, Dom, or Raquel. Finn mad at Dom about the heavyweight title at Broad. Finn is pretty much doing what Damian and Rhea did to Dom, and I think he's really over people just trying to boss him around. I'm gonna turn on him. It would be karmatic if Dom like in the balls like he did. Had that come full circle, but Finn is gonna get it somewhere somehow. Finn's gonna get it. 92 says something will happen next week. I knew they sent an emergency possible breakout. Xavier Hill turn. I think something's going down. Either Biggie is going to come in and everybody's going to be happy, or Xavier's going to turn finally. 97 says, I noticed that they're making a chance except for Finn, JD, and Braun Breaker. Yeah, Braun, I don't know. And Finn, you just don't have the title matches, the tag team matches, what they should be having. And then Braun Breaker, it just barks a lot, I guess. 97 says, I love American Alpha. Hoping we see them as a tag champs one day. Yeah, Alpha Academy. Yeah, Alpha. I actually love them, actually. Otis and Tozawa and Maxine. I like that. I love that little group. I do wish they could do more storylines with them because I think they nailed the comedy bit perfectly. 97 said, and on see Chelsea as U.S. champion and maybe Zelina as women's IC champ. Yeah, do Naomi with the U.S. title, then I want it to be Chelsea. Either Chelsea or Michin. I think that's it for the questions. If anybody else has some more, thank you for likes. I think that's it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a live after War Games. I might be able to. Can do an announcement maybe that day. If not, I'll probably try to do it next day or something like that, and then I'll do my rolling. But I will try to do some predictions for War Games. They added Shinsuke versus LA Knight. I love Shinsuke. If they want to pull the trigger and give the belt to Shinsuke, I wouldn't mind it. So I'll try to have some predictions out, and then I'll try to see if I can do it live after War Games to do my prediction contest. But I have to see what goes on for Friday SmackDown. Thanks for tuning in to the Wrestling Receipts podcast. Remember to follow me on the X at WMaven WWE and on TikTok at Writer Maven for more wrestling insights and live reactions every Monday night after Raw. Until next time, I'm just saying.